Cheers, guys. Epix 911, welcome to the Elitist Geek VR news for Thursday, September 22nd, 2016. It occurs to me as I sit here with very little sleep from the work events of the last few days, based on some comments regarding why I didn't mention the names of the games of the dev that had them removed by Steam. And I thought about it, and then I remembered why, because I had mentioned the company name, and rather than list the games, just say they had them all removed, because I've already told you the company name, only I didn't tell you the company name. I completely blanked out on that. I will annotate that forthwith, because yeah, that was just a brain fart. I totally missed it. But before I do it again, the company's called Digital Homicide. So it's Digital Homicide that had their games removed. And you know what? It brings up just an interesting side question. Creating that kind of ill will, what's that going to do to future sales? Do you think these guys are going to be able to sell a game as Digital Homicide? Is that even going to work after, people find out about these guys? I think they're going to have to change their company name, hide behind, people who different names, because as them, I don't think they're going to sell many games, and I don't think they considered that. And I think there's a difference. Take Sean Murray for No Man's Sky, a game that a lot of us had hoped would have VR. That thing was hyped 10 ways to Tuesday. Angry Joe has a video, I think it's about 38 minutes long, which is filled with calling out BS for like 40 instances of Sean stating something was in the game that never came to pass. And I'm not going to make a judgment call on that either way. Was he enthusiastic and then just couldn't deliver? I don't know. We're not in his head. But what I do know is he hasn't said anything, nor has the company. They have not said one word since all that backlash. And that's what I talked about yesterday with the thick skin. It can be soul-crushing to get critiqued at that kind of a level when you've literally, that old argument, is a video game a game or is it art? You've literally put your soul, your heart, everything, blood, sweat, and tears into this product, and then it gets blasted. Well, one of two things is going to happen. Sean's going to realize that they're going to have to go a long way to be able to restore trust in people on their word, and next time around be maybe a bit more cautious about hyping too much. Or two, you leave the industry and you find something else, and they may well have done that already, right? If it was a sabbatical and they had said something along the lines of, we're dropping out for a few months, we're burnt out, we got to reevaluate, but there's been nothing. So all you can do is speculate, which I'm not going to do. So there you have it. And that kind of ties into this next game, the segue, which is called Loading Human. And Loading Human was a game I talked about a few weeks ago. So speaking of hype, one of the things we know some more details about this game that we didn't know a few weeks ago, the dev says they've spent a lot of time having the environment in the game be very interactive. And that's something I think a lot of VR games are missing. Take Who Wants to Play with Emily as an example. Very cool set pieces. You're delivering pizza, there's couches overturned, but you literally can't interact with any of it. Very few things you can actually interact with, and that really hurts the immersion. So when they rely on jump scares, if you could interact with stuff, hell, it could be more than just jump scares, right? Imagine sliding the couch, walking a few feet, then hearing it slide back. That kind of stuff would have been way more terrifying. But it still managed to scare the crap out of me, right? So, as evidenced by my howl. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt, and we will find out if Loading Human is truly that interactive, its environment. Next up, 4A Games, and these guys are the devs of the Metro series. I also talked about them probably about a week and a half ago. So we have some additional facts and updates on their game. So what we know now is that there are more guns. We kind of guessed that the first one was a gun. Well, now we have two additional pictures that do indeed appear to be guns. And I'm no gun expert, but to me, that's a futuristic science fiction, non-human weapon. So probably a shooter, space game would be the safe bet to make. But we'll find out. Oh, and we know it's a Rift exclusive. So it would have been nice if it was available for both, but it isn't. It will be Rift only. Next up, we have a very cool link that one of the viewers on the channel, Ray Pope, sent to me. Thank you, Ray, regarding NBC. So it's a YouTube link. NBC's Al Roker met with people inside Democracy Plaza in AltspaceVR in VR. So here's Al Roker with the HMD on his head joining in. And I thought that was really cool. It's not about the AltSpace even. It's just about what they did and the exposure that this gives VR, because that probably reached a lot of home. I don't know what the viewer numbers are for NBC's show. It was probably a morning show. So no real idea, but it's publicity. And it was good publicity. There was nothing negative about it at all. So very cool to see that shown somewhere. Thanks, Ray. Then we have a VR headset. This was a Wired article. And Wired, well, I shouldn't say they are usually pretty good with the headlines. There have been some pretty bad headlines in the past, but they had the headline that this is a VR headset that makes all your iPhone videos 3D. Well, 3D isn't VR. And if you look at these things, I'm going to post a picture of them. The article says this as well. They look like old-timey doctor, spectacles type glasses. That's no VR device. And I don't blame the mainstream media. You would think Wired would get it right, but it's just, that's what gets tiring, right? The misinformation, the lumping things together, the AR, VR with 3D, which isn't VR. It was a gimmicky thing that's all but died out. So yeah, a little discouraging to see an article like that. Not saying it's not a cool device. You put your iPhone on it, it warps the video or the picture and creates 3D through what they call technomancy, which is a word that's been floating around for a few decades. Certainly not original. So if that's appealing, I don't know. To me, it just sounds like it would be kind of like a ViewMaster that you can use for your own pictures instead of reeled pictures. But it might be fun, might be cool, but it's not VR. Next up, FutureTown. This is the one where they're creating 3 devices for virtual reality. And this is the one where I mentioned where they had the horse that I said I would not ride even in the privacy of my own home. No way in hell. The other 2, yeah, probably the motorbike, no problem. The horse one, I couldn't take myself seriously. Or I'd make sure nobody was home. But in all seriousness, we also know now that they are targeting the consumer market. And I don't know if that's the smart way to go about it. Personally, I think what they should focus on initially is the Chinese, Japanese arcade markets. I think that would be a perfect fit because that's kind of their slogan. Their idea is to bring arcade to VR. And if you're going to do that, it should be in an actual arcade, because the arcade really isn't in the home. It's the home console that kind of killed the arcade, if you get what I'm saying. So I say that having an arcade sitting behind me because I live that area. Not saying millennials don't appreciate it, but from personal experience, a lot of millennials look at that and you can tell they judge a lot of it based on the graphics, not the gameplay. And it's meh, Even my daughter, she'll play Puzzle Fighter with me, but she's pretty happy to go back to play Overwatch, right? So yeah, is the home market the best idea for this? Personally, I don't think so, but there's no harm in trying, right? I just hope they don't throw all their eggs in that basket. And hey, the article may not have just asked that question. Are you going to pursue arcade market as well? Next up, we get word that Google Daydream is going to be supported by Unity and at a really, really low code level, which is really cool. So members of the team working on it say there's going to be deep integration, as they put it, with the Daydream SDK. So whenever I hear integration that's very, very close to the hardware level, immediately I think performance. It doesn't always mean performance, but like programming languages, if you're talking assembly versus, you know, basic back in the day, the assembly got you the way faster, tighter code. So that's kind of how I still tend to think about it, but very cool. Unity is really doing their bit. And look, most Rift games use Unity, but they're doing their bit to support VR, which is good. I'm curious if Unreal is going to follow suit and include any kind of Daydream support, you know, in there at all. I guess the trick would be the mobile processor, but I'm pretty sure that engine can do mobile games, but not positive. Next up, we have an app that I've never actually tried, and it kind of dawned on me while I was researching how cool this actually sounds. I've tried the Netflix app in Gear VR. It has you sit in kind of like a ski country cottage living room where you're watching Netflix. Well, what these guys have done for Bigscreen, which is Rift and Vive compatible, is they've added multiple environments. So you can sit, they've added 7 additional environments and some really cool lighting effects. So there's one campfire one, I think, and you can actually see the fire crackling, which is really cool. But the best thing about this was the multiplayer aspect. So apparently you can have viewing rooms that you create private for you and your buddies, right? So if you've got people in different cities and you're connecting remotely, you can hang out with your buddies and watch wrestling or whatever, right? Very, very cool. And the fact that it's private so you don't get other people kind of loading in. Yeah, I didn't even know it was capable of that. So that is something I am definitely going to try because I like it on Gear VR. It's fun to watch, especially shows that are in the 20 to 30 minute range. I find a full movie, that gets a little bit much, but definitely like sitcom type stuff, absolutely no problem. And the next thing I wanted to talk about has to do with a Forbes article, but I'm going to leave that for a separate video because they ask a really powerful, simple question that I've not been avoiding but not wanting to think about, and that is simply, what happens if Sony fails? And what does happen if they fail with VR? What does that mean for VR? We talk about we need them to be successful, but let's ask the question. Let's talk about it. I'll do a video on that separately over the next few days. All right, guys, that's it for this news video. Like I said, trying to streamline these, keep them down a little bit so it won't run over time and talk about that here. That'll be a separate video. As always, guys, cheers, and definitely catch you on the VR flip side.